Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Temporal 3 podcast, where we talk all about fire alarm. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Chris Godwin. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
And Mr. Charles Olner. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Brian. Good day, everyone. I'm Charles, and back to you.
Back to me. All right. Well, today I'd like to talk about customer stories. And Charles, you have an interesting story of an experience that one of our customers had where our training provided him tremendous benefit. You want to lead off in this story? Tell us about this
Sure.
story.
This is an individual who is an electrician. He went through electrical apprenticeship training during a time when unemployment was high in the recent past here in this country. So he was basically a skilled laborer without a job. And he specifically contacted us and said, "Hey, I want to increase my skill level. I want to get more in my certification resume that I can use to help me get a job." He came to us looking for that help, and we provided it. We were able to help him get his NICET certification. As a direct result of that, he was able to get hired because of that certification, and so many other electricians were unemployed and unable to do it. That little bit of motivation on his part really paid off during those more challenging economic times, and he was able to keep or get employment when others weren't. Brian, do you think NICET certification is that powerful?
Absolutely. And you, it's funny in your story, don't even mention if he was in an area that NICET certification was important or not as far as licensing goes or qualification. The fact that he got the certification, I think, indicated to potential employers, people who were looking for people, that he was highly motivated, that maybe he fit into a slot, that they had a need for it. And it doesn't really matter whether it was a state requirement or not. It's just a matter of it was a requirement to get a job. And he got to jump the line because he had the certification, because he was motivated.
Yeah, and an interesting point on that too, Brian. It wasn't because of a state requirement, it was a project requirement. This company was awarded or in the process of being awarded a large project that required NICET certification. They didn't have anyone who had it, so they had to hire someone who did, and this particular individual fit the bill.
Yep. Chris, what has been your experience with our students as far as certification goes? Have you heard of anybody that's been able to jump the line or get a job, or companies that have been able to win projects where certification was an issue, even though it wasn't a state requirement?
Definitely. We have lots of students that come in for training, not because it is a requirement of the state, but contracts. A lot of contracts are wanting to have that NICET certification, whether it's for design, install, whatever the case may be. We see a lot of our students coming in and we ask the question, hey, how many of you need this for work? And a lot of them say, we need it for a project. And so that is a really big benefit of having the certification is there's a lot of projects out there, a lot of bids that they want people with NICET certifications.
Yep. I think from an employer perspective, too, it shows a high degree of motivation on the individual, because it's important to remember that a NICET certification is attached to the individual, not to the company. And individuals who go out and get NICET certification show that they are serious about their career, have demonstrated the experience and the skills, the technical skills, to be able to pass the exam. And I think to a lot of employers, that's kind of something, it's a gold star, something they look at and say, you know what? This guy or this gal is serious about what they do, serious enough to get certified. And sometimes that works out really, really well, particularly in the case of this individual that Charles was discussing. Well, awesome, guys. Charles, thank you for sharing that story. Next, guys, I'd like to talk about code, where we live every day. Do you guys eat, sleep, and drink code like I do?
No, not at all.
Every day
I know
in a book.
nothing about the code. I don't use the code.
What is the code?
Of course, Chris is a fire alarm nerd. Chris, is that
Yes.
true?
I'd say so. With everything that we do day in and day out, I'm in the book all the time, looking something up, pulling up information, trying to find something to help out either one of the students or just for a better understanding of this is what the code has to say about it. So, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I think that would be an understatement because I've seen some of your social media postings where you talk about code while you're working out and stuff like that. So I think that you're a little bit more into the code than you're letting on.
Maybe a little bit more, but
Well, an important part of the code I'd like to talk about is in NFPA 72, and that is in Chapter 12, survivability levels. And there are different levels of survivability defined in Chapter 12. Now, the interesting thing about Chapter 12, which also has classes of circuits, it has survivability levels and the definitions, how they are, what the requirements are to achieve the different survivability levels. But the requirements, where they are required, are not stated until Chapter 24, which is emergency communication systems. The lowest level of survivability is level 0. Chris, talk to us a little bit about level 0.
level 0 is there's nothing to it. There's no survivability. There's no added built-in protection of the building for the circuit. In the event of a fire, it's gone. It's going to be gone. Level 0 is the lowest. Now, that being said, your HJ can always upgrade it. Can always upgrade it from 0 to 1, 2, 3. They're always able to upgrade it. And I I do think that a lot of the jurisdictions will look at level 0 and say, not today. No, we're going to have at least level 1 or 2.
Next step up from level 0, moving up in the number chain, level 1. Charles, talk to us a little bit about level 1 requirements for
Well,
survivability.
first of all, I'd like to address what Chris was implying there. Level 0, yes, there are no extra requirements for that, but we still have to follow the code for installation of circuits when we are talking about level 0 certification, survivability. So it's not a situation where it's totally naked and devoid of any protection whatsoever. I mean, our wiring that we install following the code at least has underwear on. So it's not totally without clothing. Uh, Level 1 is wiring installed in a building that has a sprinkler system, basically. So the fire can at least be somewhat controlled, uh, which allows our wiring, our fire alarm system components, some level of survivability because the fire is not growing as fast as it otherwise would. Sprinkler systems are control mode devices and systems. It's not necessarily intended to extinguish the fire, it's intended to keep it controlled until responding authorities can get there. And that control benefits our fire alarm system as well.
So, Charles, I want to go back to something you just said I thought was very interesting about fire alarm cable being in its underwear. Does the code require boxers or briefs?
Speedos, my friend, Speedos.
Speedos. Oh, no. So, Charles, you hit on an important point with level 1 that level 1 requires a sprinkler system and the cable to be in conduit. So it provides a higher degree of survivability. And level 1 is going to be in a situation where, again, you have that. Usually it's a longer evac time or special considerations that level 1 survivability may be required. That sprinkler system, as you said, Charles, obviously is going to control the fire. Fire alarm cable has a degree of fire resistance. That's why it's fire alarm cable, not just CL2, but it has a degree of fire resistance. But having a sprinkler system to rain water on it, putting it in a conduit provides an extra degree, a little bit longer of durability. So I'll take level 2. Level 2 is using a 2-hour rated cable or system or enclosure. And that 2-hour rating is what's interesting here because the cable itself, and this is typically applicable to backbone cable, not necessarily wiring out to devices, but usually backbone cable. So it's usually going to be like in a high rise building or a large building. The 2-hour rating, the cable has to survive attack by fire for 2 hours. That's a long time. And you can do it with a 2-hour rated cable, which is typically CI cable, circuit integrity cable. Anybody who's ever dealt with that, or more importantly, ever priced it, the price is quite a shock. The dealing with it, diameter of your thumb type of thing, really a heavy duty cable. Or it could be a cable system that provides the 2-hour rating capability, or an enclosure. And sometimes that's the option where basically they build an enclosure for it, to be a raceway for it that has a 2-hour rating. Chris, talk to us about level 3. What does level 3 require?
Level 3 is just math. It comes down to math. You're adding level 1 to level 2. You've got to have fully sprinklered building. It's in conduit. You got the 2-hour, either 2-hour rated cable, enclosure, or something else from that is acceptable with the HJ that's got a 2-hour rating. It really is just math. Adding 1 and 2 together to get you to level 3. But we see level 3 a lot of time in your high rises when you've got voice evac used for relocation or partial evac. Level 3 is going to be the highest grade of survivability. But is there another level above level 3?
More
Do we
math.
have another level?
Yes, we do. And it's interesting you bring that up because level 4 is a new designation that was added in, I want to say 2022. It may have been 2019. The code editions tend to blend together. Plus, I'm old and I get confused easily. Chris obviously knows this stuff better than I do. Level 4 is actually not a higher level of performance than 1, 2, or 3. It's actually a downgrade because level 4 only requires a 1-hour rated cable or system or enclosure. So why did they come up with level 4? Why go down to 1 hour, Chris? What's the methodology behind that?
The thought process I look at with this is not all buildings themselves have a 2-hour rating. And there's the idea that in the event of a fire, if the cable's rated higher than the building's going to burn, but the cable's going to be good.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So
Yep.
they came around with level 4. I personally, I don't. I think level 4 is kind of a little bit of a joke. Like you're gonna have 1 hour protection when 2 hours probably going to be the same amount of money.
Yeah,
Why don't we
exactly.
call it level 2.5?
There you go.
I think level 1.5 would be better.
1.5. There you go. How many fire alarm systems require something more than level 0?
My experience,
Um,
not very many.
yeah.
Unless it's a high-rise building or has a mass notification system, there may be certain requirements, or as Chris said, an AHJ requirement, project requirement, but I'd say that a large portion of the fire alarm systems are level 0.
Generally, level 0 is what we install. I mean, that's 90+% of the fire alarm systems we'd install
Yeah.
out there every day. High rises, special applications, sure, but we don't encounter those regularly.
Hmm.
In my experience, extremely rare.
Absolutely.
What
Well, next up, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say what I do think we have happen a lot is accidental level 1, where nothing on fire alarm says it needs that higher level of protection, but the building code requires a sprinkler system. So we get unintentionally we get level 1 happen a lot.
Good point.
And
Good
that's
point.
only if the cable's in conduit as well. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, sprinkler and conduit. Yeah, but that could be an AHJ requirement. The AHJ may say, IBC says it needs a sprinkler system. AHJ says, well, I want it in conduit.
Yep,
Red
Yeah.
conduit.
And
red all the time.
uh,
76030.
suspect that's relatively rare. There are jurisdictions where conduit's required. Chris, are you aware of any of those?
Most of Vegas.
Yeah,
Most
exactly.
of
Las
Vegas
Vegas, conduit's
and
required. Everything
yeah.
has to be in conduit.
And
Interesting.
what I've also encountered with a lot of our classes and students is Fire alarm cable, if it's power limited, doesn't need to be in conduit. And we'll have students when we talk about it that, yeah, we need conduit. We need conduit. No, no, we don't need it per code, per HJ a lot of times, though.
Yep, exactly.
And in the places I've worked, Southeast, Midwest, conduit is not a requirement at all. So
Yep, absolutely.
electricians tend to like to use conduit a lot, but fire alarm techs less so.
Conduit and THHN, baby. All right, guys. Next thing I'd like to talk about is a subject that is near and dear to Chris. Duct detectors. Chris, did
Brian,
I
I
just
think
ruin
it's
your
near and
day?
dear to you. You keep putting it on our podcast agenda.
Yeah, I do, because it's a frequent question we get from students. And you're right. This topic has appeared more than once, but I also kind of added this one in here to kind of jab Chris a little bit too, because I know Chris has very strong feelings about duct detectors.
How
What do you
much of
tell
the
us?
code is dedicated to duct detector information?
A couple of sentences.
Yeah, less than 1%.
Chris, tell us your deepest personal feelings about duct detectors.
Um, they're bad people. They're bad people. Look, they do the job that they're supposed to do. They do a good job at doing the job they're supposed to do, which is to shut off the air handling unit. But from a perspective of working with them, every technician out there knows duct detectors. If you've got to go do the duct detectors, it's going to be a bad day. You got to get above the ceiling, or you got to get up on the top of the roof, and you got to take stuff apart, and you got to search, and you got to find them, and it's never easy to work with them. They're always a pain. They're always a frustration, and there are certain places you just don't want to work on them at certain times of the year. For example, when it's 127 degrees outside in the middle of summer, and the technicians that were supposed to do it during the winter time have decided they wanted to do the easy stuff, and they leave it for you in the summertime to do. So the duct detectors, though, they do a good job of what they're supposed to do.
Well, now that we've ranted about duct detectors, I want to get to the question. The question from our students is, what kind of signals are duct detectors required to initiate? Chris, what kind of signals are duct detectors required to initiate?
Well, you've got you do have, if there's a problem with it, it'll have a little bit sending the trouble signal. But as far as initiation, it's supervisory or it's alarm. It's not going to be both, and it's all dependent upon uh, what I'll say is a monitored system. Code phrases it is, does it have a signal being reported to a constantly attended location? But from how we want to kind of break that down, less code terminology to basically, if it's a monitored system, it's supervisory. If it's not monitored, it's going to be alarm. And that's what 72 says about it. But the IBC's got something different. IBC strictly says supervisory. And it's taken me a while to try to figure out why there's such the big difference between the two. And really what it comes down to is in the IBC, all systems that are required have to be monitored. Whereas 72, you don't have that requirement of if you have a system, it has to be monitored. 72 tells us what to do when it's there. IBC is going to tell us when we need it. So
Yep. Charles, I don't know if you caught what Chris said there, but I certainly caught it. So Chris said the code is confusing.
no,
Well,
it's never.
all that baloney that Chris just said, keep this one thing in mind. Duct detectors send a supervisory signal.
99 times out of 100.
If you're programming your duct detector to send an alarm signal, you're wrong. They don't send alarm signals, they send supervisory. Your HJ may require an alarm signal from time to time. However, the primary function of a duct detector is to shut down the HVAC. It's not area detection. We have other methods with the fire alarm system to detect a fire, whether it's a manual station or smoke detectors in the open area or whatever, water flow. That duct detector is not generally an open area detector. It doesn't serve the same purpose. So
Absolutely.
Chris hit it right on the head. Supervisory is what we should do for those. Yeah, the code tries to make it confusing. It's supervisory.
So you're saying, Charles, that if they are programming it for alarm, they should question their life choices?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate the illuminating and entertaining discussion today. Once again, everyone out there, if you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to subscribe. Even if you're not enjoying it, please remember to subscribe. And we'll see you all next time.
Ryan,
Yes.
duct detectors are supervisory.
Point taken, sir. We will see everybody next time. Thanks again.